Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? My name is Kyle, you know me as Dragonmar, and welcome to a new video. So guys, today we're going over 3 mistakes that new tanks make and how to fix them. I just figured that there are a lot of things that I've seen recently from lower ranked VoDs, and I just wanted to go over some of the most common mistakes that I see and sort of the reason that they're occurring and the easiest way to fix them. So I hope you enjoy. Now, the first mistake we're going to go over is improper shield placement. So one of the most common mistakes for newer players is that they kind of put shields or hold shields wherever they want, whenever they want. So this is kind of like when they spam your shield. So pretty much anytime it comes off cooldown, someone's going to place it. This isn't really the way you want to be playing a tank. A lot of the times, the player will actually place their shield rather far away from them in the case of Orisa. And then they'll try to make their way to it. That's not how you want to do it either. Or maybe with Sigma, they're covering the wrong angle. Or you're using it too defensively with Winston, which is always a bad idea because that's really poor purpose for his shield. So this normally leaves shields on cooldown, needing to be replaced, and gives the enemy a lot of opportunity to sort of readjust themselves, reposition around shields, and sort of, overpower you in a lot of cases. So to fix improper shield placement, there's a few key principles you want to keep in mind. First, you're going to want to put your shield near some sort of environmental cover. And you can even do this with Reinhardt. It doesn't really matter. But especially with Orisa, you're going to want to put that shield like in something sometimes. Not in it to like any more than 10% of it, but you want it right next to cover. Because what happens is if there is an ability that can go through the shield, or maybe an ultimate or something, or maybe the shield breaks, you want your team to be able to get behind the actual physical cover so they can't take damage. Another important thing to remember about shield placement is that you don't want to put it out in the open if you can avoid it. One of the big reasons for this is that it just gives too many angles to shoot the shield and also to shoot around it. One of the most important things about shield placement is figuring out where you can get shot from. So if you're next to a door, it's actually better to place that shield either far enough in front of the door where you don't have to stand in that doorway or near it, or behind it so the doorway is in front of you and people can't shoot behind you or come behind you. So it's really important when placing shields to not only think about the area you're covering, but also the angles at which you can get shot around your shield. And essentially fixing improper shield placement is as easy as just thinking about where you're actually placing the shield and where you can get shot from. Mistake number 2 is about playing like an off tank and poor ultimate usage. So it's kind of a combination because one of the big things about off tanks is that they are more aggressive, they're dealing more damage, and they are also going to be looking for probably more kills or bigger damage with their ultimates. Now, this is something that as a main tank, you don't really need to worry about so much. And part of the reason is that your purpose as a main tank is, as I said, it's to shield your team and make space by being aggressive. Now, you have to find a balance, but you need to remember that you are not a DPS. Your job is to make space for your DPS. So what ends up happening is that a lot of newer tanks will sort of feel like once they get their ultimate, it's their time to become a DPS player. And they'll end up just pushing way too far or way too fast. People can't keep up with them. They end up wasting an ultimate and then dying right after it. Now, that is not a good way to use an ultimate. So how do you fix this, right? How can you fix sort of this mentality of trying to put the team on your back? Well, I think first of all, you have to start at the core. And so all tank players need to understand that there is no such thing, or you are not going to ever get the perfect ultimate. You're never going to get a perfect shatter. Your supercharger is never going to be exactly what you want, or you're not going to get a primal and knock 6 people off the map. But what you do need to remember is that killing one person is sometimes all you need to win a game. And this is a really important thing to understand because Overwatch is all about numbers, right? If we have 5 people and they have 6 people, well, guess what? They're probably going to win most of those fights. And when it comes to using ultimates, it's very similar. If a team has a lot of ultimates and you have none, you're probably going to lose that fight. However, when it comes to using your ultimates to get kills, if you're able to take out maybe a support, maybe let's say you shatter, I don't know, a support and a tank. Well, who do you want to kill first? most likely the support. And the reason is that they won't be able to use a defensive ultimate. So not only is it important for tanks to realize that they don't always have to get a perfect ultimate, but sometimes it's also important to realize that the target that you kill once you do use your ultimate is equally important. So this is why people like Sigma can be used, and their ultimate can be used in such interesting ways, is because you can really pick and choose who you want to target. You just have to make sure you have the follow-up for it. So that really is the biggest fix here, is that don't try to just be a one-man team. Don't try to just go do it all on your own. Make sure you have the follow-up around you to finish off kills when you use your ultimate, and make sure you're on the same page as your team with who you want to kill with your ultimate as well. Mistake number 3, and the final mistake, is failing to make space, or also known as just not understanding your role as a tank. So part of the role of a tank, as we've gone over, you guys probably have heard me say this before, but it's part shield play, part aggressive space making, right? And if you do one of these things, you're just a poor tank. Because the role is about protecting yourself and your team, but it's also about pushing back the enemies and sort of taking these strategic positions, gaining ground, whether it's on attack or defense. Remember, you could do it on both. And one of the mistakes that new tanks make is that they never really push. They wait for something instead of becoming the something that makes that push. So, how do we fix this? Well, tanks need to constantly be applying pressure to the enemy team. And with some, it's harder than others. I'm not going to lie. Reinhardt is probably the easiest tank to apply pressure with. And the reason is that if there's a low health enemy behind a shield, he can just fire strike them. And that is extremely useful, which is why I think Reinhardt is probably one of the best choices right now if you want to get aggressive as a tank. So, landing big fire strikes is definitely one of the best ways to make space. Most likely the enemy will back up, but if they don't, if you hit 2 or 3 people with a fire strike, that's a good time to start your own push. And remember, when it comes to making space, you're trying to gain ground and get to a better strategic position. Maybe it's you want to take high ground first, then you go to the point to attack the point. Or maybe you want to take control of a corner so that you can use that corner to your advantage and then push forward. There's a lot of different ways or different examples of making space, but just think of it as a way to sort of gain ground and get yourself closer to an objective or to a very good strategic point, let's say if you're on defense. Now, let's flip this a little bit and go back to Orisa, right? She really doesn't have a lot of fast movement. She can't push, she can't charge in like a Reinhardt or, I don't know, throw shields and just float like a Sigma. But what she can do is she can pull people. So sometimes if an enemy team is on high ground, let's say, one of the best things an Orisa can do is not necessarily kill someone, but simply pull them off the ledge. And even if it doesn't kill them, it gets them out of position. And sometimes that is all you need to do to give your team an opportunity to make a big push. Because trust me, fighting a 5-on-6 is not easy in Overwatch. So I think that keeping those in mind, the main fix for people who fail to make space is to understand that when you're playing a tank, you need to be the person that makes these pushes. Do not wait for your DPS. Do not wait for your Genji to ult. You should already be pushing forward, right? And knowing when it's part of the problem, and we could probably dedicate a whole video to that. But generally, the few things you want to look for is the usage of an ultimate from an enemy team that would have prevented a push, something like maybe a Zenyatta ultimate, or low health targets. If like half the team is low, and you can get to the enemy team quick, that's a really good time to push. Because what happens is the enemy are so focused on healing up their own team that they're not really going to be able to deal with you pushing in. And that's probably the best thing you can do in that situation. So keeping those two things in mind, I think that you'll be able to make more space as long as you understand that you're not just a shield and that you need to be looking to make damage, take strategic positions, and constantly moving forward. All right, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned some things. If you make these mistakes, no problem. As you play the game, you learn, you fix them, and you get better. So thank you so much for watching. And remember to join the Discord, subscribe for more, follow the Twitter, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy, and peace.